My name is Jennifer Nguyen, and I am the Exhibitions and Programs Coordinator of the Galleries at Montserrat College of Art. I'm so excited to introduce Mel Taing, who's here with us today. Hi, Mel.
Hello, what's up?
She is a Cambodian-American photographer and experimental filmmaker based in Boston. Mel creates portraiture that expresses the beauty of resilience. Her personal aesthetic is rooted in creating colorful environments that are filmic, dreamy, and slightly surreal. Some of her work has been featured in the Boston Globe, ArtNet, Garage Magazine, edibleBOSTON, Nylon Magazine, and has also been exhibited in Brooklyn, New York. So thank you so much, Mel, for being with us today. How's it going? How's everything with the quarantine?
It has been a lot of ups and downs. I feel like every single day I am riding the wave of whatever my emotions are that day. So sometimes I wake up and I feel pretty okay and I can get a bunch of stuff done. And then other days I'm consumed by anxiety and I'm kind of taking a step back and letting myself just feel those feels. But honestly, as a freelance photographer, like what I've been doing a lot is like damage control with trying to figure out what my financial situation is and how to survive in this time. Um, but I've been able to do some really interesting work in this time as well. So I'm trying to lean into that a little bit more and not get so worried about um, like navigating the Department of Unemployment and things like that,
I
which I'm
know.
like kind of working with each week. Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of stuff on your Instagram. You're staying super focused still, even though you're. I think everyone's going through these um, levels of anxiety, levels of productivity, but you're still making work. And so I'm seeing all these like great things. And you're a portraiture artist or a portraiture photographer. So how are you dealing with that, with especially with the social distancing?
Yeah, I've definitely taken this time to return back to my archive. I have a massive archive of hundreds of thousands of photos, and some of them that people have never even seen before, or yeah, just like work that I've shot and then I never edited, kind of just like left it on the back burner. So I really, as I was looking back at my archive, because I can't shoot a lot of new content right now with social distancing, because I kind of need to be near people for that.
Hmm.
I went back into my archive and just made a list of people I've worked with in the past, like friends, collaborators, and then I sent them all a little survey asking them what fills their cup right now. Because when I was on social media, I had just seen a lot of like a really mixed bag of like what people are cooking and people like kind of expressing a lot of negativity in that space. So I was trying to find and create content that um, kind of uplifted people, or as they read it they could feel like they were getting their cup filled too.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing. I've been trying to do a post a day. Sometimes I'm like super consistent, sometimes I'm not, but I've been able to kind of open up my library and highlight all of these beautiful people I've worked with in the past, and just like having that anchor in my day to work on these images, connect with people that I've worked with before, friends and collaborators. It's actually felt really good. I'm really glad. I'm really glad that it hit you and like, like you've been feeling the content. That's really awesome.
Yeah, there's so much color. I mean, it's just so beautiful to see, the way you capture each person. It's always different with every photo shoot. And I wanted to ask, like, I mean, this was before you took these photos before, but I don't know, did you know these people beforehand, or did you just feel them out as you were taking pictures? Do you have like all these background props and stuff, or are you like going into their house? How do you choose these colors and themes?
I feel like it's a little bit different for each person. So I end up actually just photographing a lot of my friends, just people. I'm in an artist community, and because I went to mass art, so I have a lot of friends who are artists. And when I was like in high school, I had a lot of friends who were also in my art classes and things like that. So I end up actually working with a lot of other artists. Um, and there is like a through line with a lot of these shoots that you're seeing is like I will message somebody or call somebody, a friend, and say like, "Hey, would you like to do a shoot with me? I love what you're doing. I love your energy, or you have an amazing face. Like, let's do something together." And then we both create mood boards. So I have the collaborator create their own mood board of something that they're going for. If they want to activate their own artwork, like there is an artist named Kamiko Branshaw, she's a muralist. And I had her, she created like this amazing painting, and then we worked from the painting and used it in the shoot. The collaborator will make their mood board, and then I'll make an answer mood board of like, okay, I'm interpreting what it is, the vibe that you're going for, and then I will create a mood board that will be like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And then we pick the day. Sometimes it's been in my apartment, it's been in like a for Black Brown Other, the shoot that I did, it was just like in Prospect Park in Brooklyn. Like
Whoa,
you just like set it up anywhere that has good light, and then I just go.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you talk more about the Black Brown Other project?
Um, so Black Brown Other, I think to date is one of like my most favorite shoots because I think it so closely aligns with what I want to do in the future and what I want to keep doing. So I met Dominique when at the Women's March in DC. I met her through mutual friends, and she is an art director for a big ad agency in New York City. And we just kind of hit it off creatively and just vibe wise. And that was like in 2016. And then, like, fast forward a couple years later, she's like, hey, I have this idea for a project and I want you to shoot it. Dominique is a woman of color, and I'm also a woman of color. So this project, Black, Brown, Other, is essentially highlighting the voices of queer artists of color, and having them talk about what it's like to work in their communities, the highlights and the challenges. So she interviewed them, transcribed the interviews, and then I shot these beautiful portraits to highlight their beauty and their resilience and their like just photographing them, taking space and holding space was really important. So we had this long back and forth for a couple months, like doing mood boards and things like that. And then finally I got to shoot it. I live in Boston, so I went down to Brooklyn and we shot it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, you can check it out. It's called, if you go to blackbrownother.com, it's still live right now. And you can meet Cassie, Alexis, Ushi, and Dominique herself. She was also in the project too.
That's amazing. That's so cool. How do you find, I mean, I think a lot of questions that I get from like students is that, especially after graduating college, where do you find these opportunities? How do you, what are great tips on like networking and all these things? And especially right now with the quarantine.
I feel like, yeah, when it comes to networking, it sounds like such a cold, clinical, like, I don't know, LinkedIn kind of vibe. But I've been really surprised that networking is really just about like making friends and finding people that have a similar vibe to you, and also making yourself available, um, and showcasing your tools, like showcasing that you can, like what your skills are, I guess. So I think a lot of these opportunities, like for Black Brown Other, we got featured in Nylon, and like it's because Dominique was already in this kind of ad agency world and had connections with arts journalists and things like that. So like it just happened that she had those connections. But like, yeah, I'm thinking about just like my favorite work or work that has like that have really resonated with it. It always comes from just me creating work with my friends. Sometimes it's also like it's like premeditated. Like sometimes I will meet somebody and be like, wow, they're so cool, I really want to work with them, and then I'm too shy to say anything to them, so I just like hold them in my mind for a long time, and I'm always surprised by how things fall together as well. Like yeah, I'm thinking about yeah, like Kamiko, who I mentioned before. Like I had met her working at the PBD Essex Museum when I was in the photo department, and I met her and I was like, dang, she's so cool, but I was kind of intimidated and a little shy, and we ended up like just connecting naturally over time, and then we made that work together. So sometimes it's like when it comes to networking, it's like keeping people in your mind, like making yourself like pinging other people and being like, hey, I'm a photographer, or hey, I'm a painter, hey, I'm a sculptor, whatever it is that you do. I think social media really helps with that, actually. Is like,
Definitely.
continuing to, I call it feeding the machine. I have like a tense relationship with Instagram actually and social media in general. But I think it's been such a useful tool for me to push myself to continue creating content and reminding people like, hey, I'm out here. And if you want to work with me, like, let's do it. That's kind of, I think, a part of networking too. Like being yourself is going to be your best resume. And I'm always surprised by like sometimes I'll meet somebody like really briefly at an event at the ICA or something like that. And then suddenly 6 months later, I get an email. And it's like, yo, so and so mentioned you, and we need a photographer for this thing. Like it's just being yourself that I think is the power. Is like actually what networking is, not like LinkedIn stuff. Although LinkedIn helps. I'm not trashing
Yeah.
LinkedIn, but so Comida Casera, it really just means like home food.
Has that been put on hold, or are you still like working on things behind the scenes? What's going on with that?
So it was founded by Evelyn Ridds, who was a professor of mine at Mass Art, and now she's my mentor, and I work with her on this project. We are both super sad because we had, so essentially what it is, it's like it's a dinner where a bunch of women who don't know each other are invited to come share a meal together, and everybody is invited to bring a dish where the dish has a story. So the dish is supposed to be cooked or store bought. You don't have to cook it, and you present your dish and tell a story of the woman who inspired the dish and stories of home. So we've had like, I think over 300 women at this point participate in this event. And it's a huge part of it is meeting in person and like
Mm-hmm.
sharing that table. So it's been like, we had an event that got canceled, and I'm so sad about it because we were like so pumped. So that's been hard. Uh, what Evelyn has done though is she created Recetas de Casa, which is like a virtual gathering through Zoom where
Ooh,
people share recipes.
I love
So
that.
you still bring the story, which is really the most important part of the dinner is like consuming the story.
Hmm.
And I've actually had my partner Colin join me for a few of them. We've only had two so far, but I think they've been super successful. I think switching the Comida Casera to Recetas de Casa virtually has actually opened more doors because we've had people that are in Argentina join. We've had people that are like on East Coast and West Coast. Like it's been really cool seeing kind of opening the boundaries of that
Hmm.
for people that can't come in person. They can now join in on this thing. So the next one you got to join.
Okay, definitely.
You would be so good to join. You have beautiful stories. You make amazing food. Your lunches are always popping. I
Thank
would
you.
love to have you as a part of it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so there.
Yeah, so that's kind of like we've adapted it to that. But there's still some behind the scenes work that I could do. I think our website needs a little polishing up. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
on my
And I
thing.
see that you're still taking like pictures, but inside your house. I think I saw Colin with a couple like behind the camera there. Are you doing anything with that, or is that just like a fun, like personal project you guys are working on?
Yeah, actually, for him, he is a really dedicated home chef. He's popping off in the kitchen. Well, so unfortunately, Colin got laid off 2 months ago as well. So both of us have we were paralyzed for a moment because I'm a freelancer. I photograph museum events and exhibitions. All museums are closed. And then he got laid off shortly thereafter. So we were both really freaked out and kind of paralyzed.
Hmm.
But I think one thing that's really helped him and helped me is just flourishing in the kitchen and feeding ourselves and like creating really engaging meals. So he's popped off. He has this whole like sourdough dance that he's doing. Like he's making
Oh.
sourdough from scratch and baking beautiful loaves. Like it's awesome. So I think that's been a thing for him. But actually, for me, I wish that I included images, but they're just not quite done yet. I
Hmm.
have this project that I'm doing that I'm really jazzed about. It's called Wish You Were Here. And I'm actually working again with Dominique, who I worked with for Black Brown Other. And we're doing this like virtual photo shoot.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I'm Zoom calling her or FaceTiming her or whatever. She's FaceTiming me, and then I'm setting up my device onto a backdrop, and it's kind of like a video voicemail.
Okay.
So she's the character, she's the star, and we as the viewer, me as the camera, are kind of witnessing if she could leave this video voicemail for her boo that she can't be with because of quarantine.
Mm.
It's like it's hard to describe. When it's out, you'll see it. But that's a project I'm actually going to shoot on Saturday, and
That's
I'm really excited for it. Just because, like, yeah, it's been a lot of different ideas tickling in my mind. Like, I just FaceTime Dominique to ask her like how are you? Let's check in. Hello, and then we just developed the idea together in the call.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Oh my god, I'm so it's
I
I'm
can't
so
wait to see it.
I'm really excited for it. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for people who want to go freelance like shortly after or, starting up now or anything?
Ooh, yeah, I kind of struggled with this question because I've just truthfully have been struggling a lot. Just figuring out how to shift gears. Like if I'm calling myself a photographer and I specialize in museums, but museums are closed, what does that mean for me now?
Hmm.
Um, I think there's like kind of two parts to this. So like the first part is kind of like a practical part. I think I eased myself into freelancing. So I had been working part-time at the PBDSX through all of 2019 and 2018. And then on the side doing freelance, just like getting commissions for like babies, weddings, doing other museums and things like photographing other museum events. So I had kind of eased myself into it. So if you want to be your own boss someday, I think it's a really good idea to prototype it and have some stable income on the side, whatever that may be. It doesn't have to be related to your craft because it's like whatever can get you that security. And then ease yourself into freelancing. And then, so I had done that. So at the end of 2019, I was like, all right, I'm good. I've learned how to be a museum photographer. I'm ready to go off on my own. And then I started in 2020 and then, and then happened and it just kind of like shut the doors on me. So that's another thing to think about too, is like, you can't always prepare for global pandemics like that. I'm really lucky that I had a savings that I like worked very hard to maintain. Um, yeah. So like this is like a long-winded answer.
No,
Um,
it's good.
but yeah, I'm still figuring out what I need to do. Like I'm still figuring out what my next steps are. I'm like okay because I got like a part-time internship with another Mass Art alum in this time, so like I have some partial income doing this like interesting consulting art and design gig. That won't last me forever. So I'm actually just taking this time to continue working on the infrastructure of my business.
Hmm.
So as a point of advice, I would say like find tools that do the hard, boring stuff for you. And one of those tools is QuickBooks Self-Employed. It's about $10 a month, which is the same as like a subscription to like Apple Music. I would highly recommend that you do it. So that actually helps me track my finances and it has kept me really, you like link your debit cards and your savings or credit cards to your QuickBooks account.
Hmm.
It helps you track your finances and track how much your business actually costs you per month. So that's been a really helpful tool. I think another point of advice, kind of like I feel like Jennifer, you already mentioned this before, would just be like take that time to write yourself an artist statement. Even if the artist statement nobody sees it, like wherever you are at in your life, like you should sit if you're an artist, like sit down and write out your artist statement just to figure out like who am I today? What am I making? Sometimes you might write an artist statement for your dream self of where you wish you could be, and that's going to be give you some direction and really help you hone your craft to that direction. So things like that I would suggest.
Oh my gosh, that's such great advice. Thank you so much. It was nice talking to you and to see you. I mean, virtually. Mm. So you can find Mel's work at meltaing.com. That's MELTAING.com. You can follow Montserrat Galleries on Instagram at Montserrat Galleries or on Facebook at Montserrat.galleries.